Obligatory podcast intro.
Hi, hello, and welcome. This is Flipping Pages with Matt and Adam. I'm Matt with my co-host Adam, and this show is where we take all 22 letters of the alphabet, we put them in a barrel, and we each draw a letter, and then pick a comic that begins with that letter. I don't know his, he does not know mine. Spoilers ahead for these two comics, and possibly some other stuff, but definitely these comics.
All right, so yeah, I got W again, third time's a charm.
Hey, it happens.
It even starts. Its first word is wake, so I pretty much didn't get very far from the last one.
Yeah,
I didn't go too far down the alphabet.
Yeah, you just stayed in the wakes.
Stayed in the wakes. And you know what's funny? There was like Wakefield, Wake this, Wake. Like I was surprised how many wakes there were.
Right.
So I found this one. It's called Wake the Dead. The cover was pretty grabbing. The first issue cover was pretty attention grabbing.
Yeah.
I thought, I was like, oh, that looks cool. And then I saw that it was an IDW print, which I like IDW comics.
Yep, they're cool.
And they do a lot of horror comics, and it was obviously
Is that like one of their things?
Yeah, I don't know if you'd say it. Yeah, I guess you could say it's one of their things.
You like see that?
I have
more
quite a few
of IDW horror.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They do anthologies and stuff, but a lot of the publishers around that size, they all do anthologies. Big publishers are the ones that usually don't do anthology comic books.
Yeah,
because they don't sell. They don't sell out.
Which why? Like, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of anthology.
Self-contained.
Yeah, I guess
they
so.
make more sense. So you're not. So there's the anthology comics that do it like monthly or whatever, meaning only part of the story is done in that comic.
Right.
And then in the next comic, they might continue it there, or you might have to wait a whole nother cycle and they'll continue the same story. I'm not a big fan of that style. That's still what is serializing or whatever. That's, to me, that's barely an anthology.
Yeah.
That's a multi ongoing series.
So you like a graphic
An
novel?
actual self-contained. The whole thing should just be, each story should be its thing.
Yeah,
actual
one and
standard anthology
Right.
style.
That's
so,
what you like.
That's my favorite.
You'd think that would be that's an easy way to dip your toe into something new.
Yeah,
Like if you were like, oh, I like fantasy, but I'm not super into it yet.
Yeah.
You could do an anthology.
That's why the old science fiction and old fantasy magazines did really well, because they all had short stories in them.
Yeah,
they were all short stories, which is easily digestible.
Cool. There's that Fafford in the Great. When we did that, that was published in a fantasy, basically magazine with multiple
cool.
stories. Like, and that's cool. I want to get my hands on some of them.
Yeah, you should, dude. Like,
cool.
Like you said, it's a great way to break into something and test something out.
I always thought so.
So yeah, it was done by IDW. It came out in 2003. It's got one of my favorite writers, Steve Niles. He does a lot of horror, a lot of horror, a lot of just work. He's kind of famous, people know about him. He's not like huge or anything, but yeah, he's cool. The artist, we have one called Mil X. It's spelled MIL little x, and then Chi, CHEE. Those are the two artist names. They each have a one name.
Caramel macchiato for Mil-X.
Yeah, Mil Tiny X. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
And a mocha frappuccino for Chi.
That's
cool.
So they're cool. Like the art's fine. It's definitely good for 2003. That's for sure. If I was reading this in 2003, my opinion of the art would probably be a lot more generous than it is now.
Okay, is it good for the time, or is it special and unique even at that time?
It's a little unique because, like I said, I'm pretty sure it is actually watercolor. Like, maybe not even watercolor style, but actual real watercolors, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
If it's not like that, then it looks... It's made to look like
yeah,
it. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so it is a little unique for
it is.
the time.
It's enough.
That's cool.
Yeah. Like I said, when I first... I told you, I didn't say it on this yet. When I first read it, I did not know when it had been made.
Oh, right.
I could not tell.
You couldn't tell?
No. I saw a couple things in there that tipped me off, and then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it came out in 2003.
Right.
So we got a story old as... Oh, I guess I can't say old as time. Old as 18 something. So I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. This is Frankenstein. I didn't know it was Frankenstein when I picked it, but I figured it out relatively quickly.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's Frankenstein done now, or in 2003, I mean.
Okay.
So Victor is a very rich boy who
I'm a rich boy.
was not able to make it into college or something, and he helped his friend cheat on tests. His friend William, who is also really smart, cheat on tests, and he got into college. And then they have a friend named Iggy, who is one person says he's gimpy, and so he's like a short guy. He's kind of fugly a little bit, and like he's got glasses and stuff. So he's Igor.
Obviously Igor.
Yeah, so he's that.
Sorry.
And then
I watched Young Frankenstein, so
right.
Dang it. It's Frankenstein and Igor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frankenstein, Igor, yeah.
And then their friend William, his last name is Shelley. So there's that. And
that's the author.
Yeah, yeah.
Who was part of the actual story. Right?
No, that's just who
Are
wrote
you
it.
sure?
Yeah.
Look it up, bro.
So
Mary Shelley?
Yeah, Mary Shelley wrote it.
What? Mary
Shelley.
Mary Shelley. Yeah, she's a character in a horror story somewhere else.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm just.
There's a TV show where she's a character in it.
Okay.
It's
Did
like
she write herself as a character?
No.
She's not a character.
She's not in it at all.
Okay, got it.
No.
William Sherry.
So, like I said, it's like Frankenstein now. Victor's kind of a dick to Igor, of course, and he's kind of a dick to William, but not as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think he feels that William's more on his level, on Victor's level, and that Igor is just useful because his dad works at the morgue. So
he needs them parts.
Yeah, so Iggy's really useful for that.
Needs them subjects.
And he's real submissive. He just does whatever Victor says. He's like, go steal them bodies.
Make me breakfast.
Yeah, whatever. Just he gets him to do it. He's obviously the assistant, basically. Yeah. So we start out. They are a freshman, basically, in college at this point in the story.
Victor?
Yeah, the Victor, William, and Iggy all are in like.
I keep thinking Iggy's like his little like servant, but no, they're just boys. But he treats them like shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're all into medical stuff. They're all doing this of free will. They're trying to bring life. They're all really trying to do that. So they've been using pigs and whatnot, of course, because pigs are a pretty good analog to people and whatnot. And they're able to bring them back for like 3 minutes sometimes, but like there's like no brain activity or whatever. They're not getting where they want to go. Right. And so
bringing back a body is hard.
Yeah, and so in the beginning, the main issue is that, we're not being able to do what we want to do with this pig. We need human parts. And that's when William's like, dude, I told you at the beginning, like, I'm not going to do that. That's where I draw the line. He was like, pigs work. We need to make it work with pigs first anyways, even if you're going to do people eventually. Still need to make the friggin' pigs work first.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, man, we got this. Like, we just need, like, a fresh brain. We need a fresh brain that isn't been dead for too long. And that's the issue. The body, the other organs, they can be dead for a while. That's not an issue. We can bring it back. We can sew them together. We can fix it. But we need a fresh brain. And William's like, you're crazy, dude, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of gets in like a big philosophical argument with Victor and just leaves. Mm-hmm. He's like, quits, basically. They act like this has happened before, where they've argued and left before. But this time, for real, let me let you in on a little secret. He really is leaving. He doesn't want anything to do with Victor and Iggy anymore.
Yeah.
So our character, William, is like, leaves, and after he's gone, they switch around some circuits on one of the dead pigs, and they turn it on, and it gets up and actually starts running around.
Oh shit!
And like doing stuff and whatnot, and making noises, oink oink oink, and whatnot. And so Victor just shoots it in the head because it's acting all crazy and it's gonna run away. So he shoots it in the head. He's like, "See, what'd you do, Iggy?" And he's like, "I just switched the chips around from the base of the spine to the base of the skull or whatever, and it seemed to make the difference." He goes, "I told you, we got this. All we need now is..."
I figured it out.
Yeah. Literally, he acts like he's even though it was Iggy, 100% Iggy. And a lot of the other shit was William. A lot of the other stuff was William.
Right.
Victor's more like he's the rich one.
His way into
he's rich
it.
and he's kind of like
Or
the
he
driving force of it. So he's
he
definitely smart in doing stuff.
riched his way into
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So William's walking home in the rain away from Victor's house. He's going home
With the piano music playing.
Exactly. How'd you know? And then as he's walking home, some douchebag. This is not my words. This is the comic book words. Some douchebag football guys is I think how they call them. It's some actual douchebags riding around in a little truck throwing beers at people.
Oh, what
So
the-
they throw a
yeah.
beer at William. It hits him in the head, busts his head open a little bit, and he's like on the ground under the lamp. Street light, just like crying and like defeated as hell. And then it shows the guys in the car just driving around drinking, having beer, the football guys in the car. It's getting high.
Throwing full beers?
Yeah.
What a waste.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's how you know they're
You
scum.
already, yeah, because
That's how you
you're
know.
too young to go buy it, so you
More
had
beer.
to get someone.
How
to,
did they? Well,
You just-
football players in a small town, they might get
Oh
it.
yeah,
easy.
they could just walk in,
Get
and
it
be
easy.
like, you know who we are,
Right. So
But still, you're throwing.
They
it out
make
the
a
window.
point to show that these football douches, or however they called them, are douches. Like they, just everything they're saying in here is vile. Like I'm not gonna read like some of it, and like they use some curse words
like-
that I'm even slightly not okay, and I'm very liberal with curse words. So like
Wow.
they use some slurs and whatnot, and just the
Yeah.
series of curses are like
Just
gross. It's
like
just gross.
signs over their head that say
We're
douche-
pieces of shit.
Yeah, right.
So like they're being pieces of shit, and then all of a sudden they drift into the lane of a 18-wheeler and just eat it.
Oh,
they all
shit.
just get mangled and die.
Fresh brains.
There's like 5 of them in
Fresh
there.
brains.
Yeah, so there are like 5 of them in there, and like I said, Iggy's dad is a coroner. So like Iggy's dad is like, oh, I'm not coming home tonight. I have to go get all
Right.
these bodies or whatever. So Iggy and them are like,
got you,
oh,
Dad.
we can get these bodies or whatever from the morgue. This is good luck. We'll have a brain. We'll have everything we need. And so they like set it up to go to the morgue after the coroner, his dad, leaves or whatever. They go there and they're like, we're gonna get these bodies, whatever. And they're like, we need to go get William though, because like he's gonna want to get in on this. He's like,
you think he will?
that's what Iggy's acting like. Iggy's like, I don't. He
Yeah.
goes, no, dude. Once we tell him what we did with the chips and we got it to work, he'll want to go. So they go to William's house, and William's dad answers the door, and he's like kind of skeptical because he knows obviously something's going on.
Right, they're beefing a little
Beefing
bit.
of something. So he lets him up, and like Victor and Iggy go upstairs, and they're looking at all the family photos on the wall, and they go in, and William's hanging by the ceiling fan. He had hung himself.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so he was like super distraught.
fuck.
So like not only with the Frankenstein shit,
yeah,
but
what-
then he got hit with the can, and like just
That-
so they say it kind of came out of nowhere because
Yeah, I
besides the
mean-
little bit of argument, they didn't show him really dealing with much else.
You didn't see anything, right?
Exactly. So this was really quick. This is literally like 6 pages.
So
in.
those were just the straw that broke.
Oh,
the
and that's
back,
not 6
right?
pages
Like-
in. My bad. That's the very last page of the first comic.
Okay.
They find him dead. So that's
Rest in peace,
yeah. William was cool.
William.
for
Shelley.
sure. He wanted to do good, not make Frankenstein monsters. You know what I mean? He wanted to do
That's what
science
it's-
stuff.
That's what it says on his tombstone. He wanted to do good stuff and not make Frankenstein monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
Here lies.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So he's just dead. He's dead. Iggy and Frankenstein are at his funeral, and they're like talking about. No, before the funeral, they go and they snatched his head from at the
Oh,
morgue.
I knew it. I was like, it's
They
not.
snatched it because all the other guys, the football
jocks,
players, their
yeah.
brains got like mushed in, and like they no longer were viable, and they didn't want their brains anyways because they were pieces of shit.
Yeah, right.
And they all hated them. Like Frankenstein especially hated them, and so they're like talking to each other, whispering to each other about like, oh, we're gonna do this at his funeral.
Yeah.
So people notice. People notice that they're like whispering and like talking and smiling and shit. Can you imagine how noticeable that would be if you were at your best friend's funeral and you and your homie are just laughing
Smiling.
and smiling over in the corner?
And scheming.
Yeah, it was like people noticed. Like the sheriff noticed. Like
Yeah.
people noticed. So everybody's super sad. Obviously, their parents are super sad. Then we see that Frankenstein is banging the sheriff's daughter. And this is like the day of his friend's funeral, and the sheriff gets home and finds him and Frankenstein and his daughter banging.
Damn.
On the day of his friend's funeral. And he was like, I saw you earlier smirking, you little bastard. He goes, I know something's up. He was like, you're here banging my daughter? Like, he's like, on the day your friend died, blah, blah, blah. Or your friend's funeral or whatever. And he starts beating him up. Oh. The sheriff starts whooping Frankenstein, which is, as we know, is totally justified. But as far as the sheriff knows, all he knows is that they were banging. You know what I mean? He doesn't know he did anything else at this point.
True.
So it's a little overboard. I'm not a dad of a teenage daughter, so I can't say how I would react in this situation. But he beats him up pretty good.
Kick his ass too.
But justifiably in this situation.
Right.
So he beats him up, kicks him out, and he goes, I'm going to get you. Like, I know you did something, whatever. So now Iggy and Frankenstein have all their parts. They're sewing it up together. They got the head finally. They attach the head. And, like, as they're attaching the head, basically... this isn't really important, but as they're attaching the head, William's dad shows up. And he's like, I just need to talk to you. What do you think? Why did my son do this? Y'all were best friends. You would know why. You're the only ones that would know why this happened. Yeah. And Frankenstein is genuine. He goes, I truly don't know. He goes, we argued. And, like, because all that is true. We saw it. Like, they didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nothing crazy happened.
He truly didn't know. So
just
you can see it on
left.
Frankenstein's face that he is genuine in this part of the comic dealing with his friend's dad. Yeah, exactly. Just this part. Because he liked his friend. He didn't kill his friend. He didn't want his friend to die. He wants to bring his friend back to life. Mm-hmm. So he cared about William.
His head.
Yeah, but they keep talking about how they're using William because he's smart.
Are they using the jocks' bodies?
Pieces and pieces of the jocks' bodies.
Okay.
So, like I said, William's dad shows up, talks to Frankenstein, accuses him a little bit, and then William's mom shows up and takes William's dad out of there and apologizes, whatever. So they go down, they hook up. It looks cool. Their setup, their bringing life setup looks really cool. It looks bootleg as hell, like propane tanks and all these crazy spider web of wires. It looks dope. Nice. I'll say that. It looks dope. So Frankenstein's like all hooked up to the machine, and he's got the, I'll just call him William. It's like
a DIY, do-it-yourself resurrection
Yeah,
kit.
exactly. So like William's all hooked up to a bunch of, wires all over his body and whatnot. And so Frankenstein's like, all right, hit the power. Power kind of surges. They're doing it for a minute, and then he keeps going. Whenever Iggy tells him not to, he's like, it's too hot. The machine's too hot. It's going to mess up. And it has like an overload, and it like catches William's body on fire. So like Frank, the monster or whatever you want to call him, his body, like everything, like besides his ends of his arms, like forearms to hand, from knees to feet, don't get burned. So that's it. His mass extremities. Yeah. His far extremities didn't get burned. Okay. So the rest of him is just charred, laying on the table in a bunch of wires. Jesus. And Victor, Frankenstein, attacks Iggy and blames Iggy for it. He's like, "You idiot! This is all your fault, you moron! This is all you. You did this." And he starts kind of like beating him up. And they're just kind of standing there, and all of a sudden William shoots up. Ooh. And he looks bad. He is burnt to
His
shit.
face is burnt too?
Really bad. He's got a little bit of tufted hair on top, but like he looks bad. Really bad. He's burnt, charred up. And he hops up and he's like, ah, basically. And Victor's like, yeah, he's alive. We did it. And Iggy's like, oh my God, what do we do? Look at him. He's a monster, blah, blah, blah. And then he immediately attacks them. Like immediately, because he's not restrained at all. He just hops up off the table and immediately attacks both
he is a monster.
Iggy and Victor. And they start talking to him and calling him William. And he throws him, but eventually he realizes, he remembers. He starts to remember that he's William.
Right.
And so he says like his own name. He's like, William. And then he starts crying and freaking out. Like he's remembering basically. Yeah. And that's what Frankenstein's saying. He's like, yeah, that's why he's freaking out. He's being born again. It's painful.
Also, he chose to end it. Like
that comes up right now.
Oh yeah.
So not right. I'll just bring it up right now since I said it. So as soon as he can talk, basically, it happens in a little bit where he can talk like all the way. He's talking to Victor, and he goes, dead, wanna die, supposed to be dead, wanna be dead. You brought me back, whatever. So he's fucking pissed that he got brought back. He was dead set. He wanted to.
Yeah, he made
really
that choice.
Yeah,
He
was
accidentally.
No, it was
from
not.
The ceiling fan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he's pissed, obviously, at Victor, like really pissed, and he kind of knows what's going on because he was in on all this stuff. He's not. So, like, him coming back and then looking down, he kind of knows what's going on.
Yeah, right. Figured it out.
Yeah, so he's puking everywhere, like, just coming back to life very painfully. And they kind of settle him down, actually, because he's partially there. It's partially William.
Yeah.
And they settle him down. And as they're doing that, what's her name? I think her name's Lily. Victor's girlfriend, the sheriff's daughter, shows up. And he's covered in blood, of course. And she's like, where have you been? I've been trying to call you, whatever. And he goes, I'm real busy. She's like, what is all that blood? He's like, it's pig blood. And then she hears William start screaming from downstairs. She goes, I knew something's going on. That's not a pig. I'm getting
You brought someone back to life.
Yeah, she doesn't know what's going on. She just knows something effed up is happening.
You tell when you're lying, Victor.
So she's like, I know you're doing something. I'll know soon anyways. And Victor's like, what does that mean? She goes, my dad is exhuming the body of William right now to check to see if you did something. And he goes, no, because he knows he's going to find that he doesn't have his head.
Fucking headless.
Mm-hmm. So he goes, no, like a Darth Vader at the end of that movie. No. And he's like standing in the rain. No. So he runs inside and Iggy's like feeding William basically and trying to take care of him. He put a blanket on him. Victor runs in and goes, I got to go. And they were like, who is that? And he goes, nobody, but I got to go. So like, he takes off without saying shit, and Iggy's there trying to help William. And then William kind of jumps up and starts beating the shit out of Iggy. He's like remembering what's happening. He's seeing his body.
Right.
And he decides he's going to punish Iggy. So he beats him up really bad, and then he throws him onto the table where he was born or recreated or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he takes multiple scalpels and slowly like dissects him while he's alive.
Oh.
While he's like holding him down, and like he like cuts his lower jaw off some. He like the whole rib cage is exposed, all his guts are out. He did it slow and gnarly because he was a medical student, so you like
that.
they have
Why Iggy, man? What the hell?
I mean, Iggy was completely complicit in bringing him back.
He's
the one that chopped the head off, actually. Frankenstein wasn't even there. Iggy's the one that chopped his head off.
Because he's being told he don't know no better.
So we pick up with the sheriff and a gravedigger, I guess. I don't know who else it would be besides a gravedigger at digging up William's body.
It's just some regular cop.
So it's a regular cop, or so the sheriff and then not a cop. And then they open the casket and they see the head gone. And as that happens, Victor shows up and he goes, told you to leave me alone. I told you to leave this whole thing alone. Like, I warned you, whatever. And he pulls out a revolver and blasts the sheriff through the head and explodes the sheriff's head. And then the gravedigger guy's standing there and he's like, don't kill me, don't kill me. And Victor's like, I'm not going to kill you. Just do what I say. He's like, I need you to dig more hole or dig it deeper or something so we can put both these bodies back, whatever. And he's like, please don't kill me. He's like, I'm not going to kill you. The faster you do this for me, the faster you can get home. And then as the dude's digging from a distance, William's like, Victor. He just kind of yells at him from a distance. And Victor like looks for a second, and then the gravedigger guy starts running away. He gets kind of far, so when Victor shoots, he doesn't hit him very well. He kind of glances off his hip, so like not a death shot but like a wounding shot, pretty bad. And it makes him trip, and then his head falls into a tombstone and gets crushed in, so he's dead. And so Victor's like, fuck, and I'm gonna get out of here. So like he runs to the car, and William catches up to him. And this is where he's like, no, I wanted to be dead. This is the part where he's like, yeah, no, I wanted to be dead. I'm going to make you suffer, is what he says. I'm going to make you suffer.
Yeah.
And so he beats him up some and then just runs away off into the night. And then, so like, this is super Frankenstein-y. So William's in the woods and he comes upon a campfire with clothes, like a single person, like homeless encampment.
Right.
He finds clothes, so he puts on the clothes. And he's eating a little bit of the bread that's there. And then he's not blind. He's blind in one eye. They call him One-Eyed Willie. So they're both named William, both these characters. So in the book and stuff, it was a blind little girl, or it was either a little girl or a blind man. There are two separate occasions, Jesus Christ, that take the monster in, and they treat him nice because they can't tell he's a monster.
Oh, right.
The blind person one. And so this is that version of that.
Okay.
So he's a homeless guy who's really nice. He's like, hey, normally I'd be mad that you were stealing my clothes, but it's better than some scary naked guy standing by my fire. So it's cool. So he tells him to sit. He can see. He's just a little bit out of his one eye, so he can tell this dude's burned victim at the very least.
Right.
I guess he doesn't know he's.
Up.
I guess he doesn't know he's a sewed together monster, but he can tell something's really wrong.
Yeah.
So he's super nice. He treats him like a son, basically. Gives him a beer. Gives him food, talks to him, is really nice to him, gives him some good life advice, basically. And then, like, he spends the night, I think. Just hangs out with him, so he has, like, a good night. And Victor gets back to his place, finds Iggy all chopped up on the table, and he actually cries, and he's sad about it. And so the sheriff's daughter, I think her name's Lily? No, Liz. Her name's Liz. William shows up at Liz's place and like scares the shit out of her because he looks like a monster. And they were like, either they used to date or they were just really good friends, one or the other.
Right.
I don't know if they specified or not. But so he like kind of they had a relationship of some sort. And so he like ends up kind of like grabbing her and taking her away because he can't get her to calm down. And then when she wakes up, he like is able to talk enough where he's like, I'm William. And then she like can tell that she can kind of tell that it's him.
It's him.
So she's like, oh my God, what's going on? And then he tells her everything. He's like, Victor brought me back to life. He killed your dad. And then
Your
I think he said,
not a nice guy.
Yeah, I think he said he killed Iggy too. He blamed it on Victor.
Bitch.
And
I don't know why I'm hating on William, man. He's like totally
he's
not
in the right.
Yeah.
He's in the right the whole time.
It's just Iggy.
Besides, Iggy deserved. I don't know if he deserved to die like that. Maybe not.
That's pretty harsh.
It was fucked up.
But maybe die.
Yeah, or
at least in the context of this story, right? Maybe.
So he tells Liz about this, and he tells Liz to go tell the police because he wants Frankenstein to suffer as much as possible and whatnot. So this part's kind of funny. He's like hiding outside like a maniac, just like behind a cop car, like twiddling his fingers together, like ha. Yeah. And then a cop sees him and like, hey, what the hell are you doing over there? Why are you just kind of hiding behind a cop car? And
what
he's
are you
like,
doing?
He's like, ah! And so the cop like comes up and like holds him at gunpoint. Then a bunch of cops come out, but apparently he's like really strong and stuff. So he like starts beating up the cops. And like starts beating all of them up, and none of them decide to shoot him. They're all just trying to
what
like.
About their guns?
They're just trying to like billy club him and stuff. And he starts like throwing them into each other and like really hurting them just by like mushing them into each other. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, these guys probably didn't do anything." So he starts running away. So as he's running away, he gets hit by a car. William does. Gets hit by one car, smashed through the air, and then hits another car, really hard. And then like before he hits the ground, he's up off his feet fighting the cops that were chasing him. So it's crazy as hell. This little part of the last comic here is crazy as all hell. So the police are like, all right, they're on high alert. We're looking for Victor, and we're looking for this monster-looking dude or whatever.
Right.
And I think Liz at some point maybe tells the cops that it's William. No, he shouldn't. The cops don't know who the burnt man is or whatever. So William is like trying to get away from the cops or whatever. He's like running. Yeah. And he runs into like a parade, which is weird. Like they show him like people seeing him at a parade, and so like that part I needed to include it because it was so weird.
Parade going on.
Yeah. So like he's like, wow, and then a little girl helps him like run down that way. And so like he's running back and he gets to Victor's house before the cops get there. And he was running from the same spot. The police station. They all came from the whatever.
Run fast.
Comic books. So he's in there and he's like
monster speed.
He like attacks Victor, and he's like gonna beat him up or kill him or I don't know what. Beat him up and let the cops get him, I guess.
Right.
And but Liz is there, and Victor takes Liz hostage, except Liz ain't no bitch and backward headbutts Victor
nice.
so hard his nose explodes. It's really satisfying. And then this part is the most comics bullshit I've ever seen. He lets off a round from his revolver and it hits the ground next to some curtains, and the curtains catch on fire because when bullets hit, they make explosions.
Yeah,
of fire.
it's one of those the pyro bullets.
Yeah, exactly. So William's just kind of standing over Victor now, who's all beat up, and like William's got the gun, so Victor can't even shoot the gun anymore, and he kind of like gloats. He's like, you dumbass, like, I got you, like, you're a piece of shit. And then William gets Liz to leave, and he's like, we're both gonna die. We both should be dead. That's where we should be. We should be dead. And then Liz gets out of there, and then there's a beautiful like double page spread of what the fire looks like in Victor's house from the outside. So you see the cops, you see Liz, you see everybody that's not Victor and William looking at the building. It looks dope. It really is. And then we get a full page of William talking to Victor. Hey, I don't want to die, whatever. He goes, we both should die. And then we get like almost like an epilogue with Liz being like, how many bodies did you find? They're like, oh, we found all the bodies. We found Victor and we found Iggy. And she was like, there was somebody else there too. You sure you didn't find another body? And they're like, no, ma'am, we searched everywhere. So she kind of half smiles.
Yeah.
She like smiles a little bit. And then we see like this is very movie. We see a character we've never seen before, like a young man at a bus stop, like buying food and getting something to drink, and then getting on the bus and sitting down on the bus, and he's all nice and stuff. And he goes, hey, sir, my name's Johnny. We're going to be bus neighbors for this bus ride or whatever. You want a piece of this beef jerky? And then you look over, and it's William sitting on the bus. And he looks better now after the whole fire incident. His literally looks better now than he did before it.
So his burned skin healed.
His nose is starting to heal up. So he had half of his nose completely gone.
Oh, shit.
And throughout the story, it seems like it gets more and more. And it seems like he's getting more and more hair.
Yeah.
So like he like super heals or something.
Okay.
They don't get into it.
What about the? I guess if he heals, then you
The
don't see
scars and
stitches
shit?
in his
I don't
neck
think
and-
so.
Yeah, he's not held together by
No.
stitches. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's the last frame is him on the bus. He goes, we can be friends, right? And he goes, yes, you are right, friend good. So he's still not all there. He's not William all the way. He's the monster that was William, basically. And that's the actual end of it. That's 5 issues, the entire storyline of Wake the Dead.
Okay.
So in some aspects, an exact rip of Frankenstein.
Right.
Like exact in a lot of ways.
Just
And
modernized.
modernized. Yeah, but overall, like I said, it's not my favorite art, but it's fine. It gets the point across.
Uh-huh.
And the art at the beginning...
Turn it. Let me see it.
So this is the art at the end. It's completely different than the art at the beginning. 2 different artists.
Okay.
So Mil-X did part of it and Che did part of it, I guess.
All right. I could see the 2000s.
Yeah, so
in
this
it.
is the non-watercolor one. This is the more regular style. The first issue or the first 2 issues are the watercolor style.
Oh, which one
And
am I
even
on?
the character, the 5th issue. Here, use this. It'll be easier.
I'm already there.
All right. Yeah, go to the first one and then look at the art inside of the first one.
Oh, yeah. Big difference.
Way different, yeah.
So you don't know who did
I didn't
this
look
one?
which one was. Oh, I know the first one is Mil-X.
Mil-X?
Yes,
Okay.
the first one definitely Mil-X.
See, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that looks. I see what you mean about the faces.
Yeah, so the faces, I'd say, are actually a little better in the second art style.
The bubblier one or the brighter?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice. So you glad you got it?
I'm glad I got it, and it wasn't. I didn't do a Marvel comic where I had to write 20 pages of notes. I'm glad it was a story that I've known since I was a child. That made
Right.
it help. And like I said, like it was very graphic in a lot of good ways. It made you dislike characters that you were supposed to dislike, and made me
Yeah.
like characters that I was supposed to like.
I landed on the jock page.
It was
and
effective.
I'm like, I can tell from his shitty face.
Yeah.
I hate that kid.
They're pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, 2 thumbs up.
All right. Well, I got F, and this is the. I thought it was the first F that was actually real, but I did Fafford. And
Yeah.
I already mentioned that during your shit.
Yeah.
All right, so I got this one, man. It's called False Guard. It was written and illustrated by Merwan, Merwan. Now, Merwan.
Okay.
It's a Magnetic Press, and it came out in 2021.
Okay.
Magnetic Press LLC. So it was released as like a graphic novel.
Okay.
It is 6 issues, but it's a super long book. It's like 200 something pages.
Yeah, that is a lot.
So it's a fantasy world.
Uh-huh.
So made up languages, words, names, all that nonsense.
That's all I know about this. That's all you let
I was
slip from this.
Big struggles with these
Yeah.
names, bro. So Merwan, if I butchered your name and all these names in this book,
he
I
tried.
apologize.
He really did try.
I'm trying. So it's a made up, and it seems inspired by Indian, Middle East, possibly somewhere. I'm not great about that side of the world.
It seemed like something like that to me too.
It looks like it too.
Yeah.
Like the way it all looks.
At least
it's
inspired by a bunch of them put together, maybe.
brown, a lot of sand.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
world, the way where the city that they're in. It's it all takes place in this city called Iraq.
Okay.
IRAP. So
Yeah.
that's why I think it's like Persian,
Yeah.
Middle East,
Yeah, yeah.
something like that. So it starts with this kid, Maine, or Mane. I'm going to just say Maine.
Uh-huh.
And he's coming into Iraq, and he wants to learn this fighting style, and it's called Pankat.
Okay.
Pankat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Pancat. I think Pankat is a good way of saying it. So they treat it very much like it's boxing, UFC. They have bouts, they have tournaments, rounds, they're fighting. You know what I mean?
it's
Very much
organized.
a martial arts tournament.
Yeah.
And so he wants to learn this style. He wants to go here to get into a school. And there's schools like all over the world, all over this city. There's School of the Temple, School of the High Towers, School of the Shadows, Stones, shit like that.
Okay.
Bunch of that. So when he rolls into town, he has like nothing. He actually gives his steed, the camel he was riding, to the guy that guided him there. And he was like, "This ain't even enough to pay me, bro. Like, I'm taking your camel." And he was like, "Yeah, fine. Take it." I don't know if it's a camel. He said a steed.
Yeah.
It might not be a straight up camel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a little different. It looks like a little Star Wars
Animal.
yeah,
some
kind of.
sort. Yeah.
So he rolls into town. So the first person he meets is this dude named Fessat. 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 Fessat.
Okay.
So this guy is a revolutionary, Like that's what he's doing. He's rallying against everything. That's his whole
Okay.
thing. So it goes more into his story later. So he arrives at town, he meets that Fessat dude, and he's like, Maine is at the restaurant trying to get his canteen filled. He's like, "I don't even want food, just give me some water." And he ends up crossing paths with this Fessat dude, and he throws up he makes a show out of it. Like Fessat starts yelling and fighting, and the guard comes over to be like, "Get this kid out of here."
Uh-huh.
So Fessat's messing with the rich folks in the restaurant. And at the same time, this security guard is attacking Maine, being like, "We're not filling your canteen. Get the hell out of here." So it ends up turning into one kind of big fight, and Fessat sees how well Maine fights.
Okay.
So he starts yelling. He starts beating people up. Big old scene, right? And then he goes over there and takes care of the security guard that was messing with Maine. So they end up leaving together. And, they split apart. He goes and finds some shelter and has some kebabs he stole from the restaurant. So it goes into him getting to the school. So he goes to the guy that runs the school, the leader is named Eam the Scorpion, right? Eam. So he runs the school. He comes in. He's like, "Let me join." And he's like, "Nah, man, I train kids, like young kids that start to live this life. You can't
You're
just
too far.
hop in." So he's like, "No, man, go away." And he's like, "Man, come on. I traveled here." They're like, "Get your begging ass in." And he's like, "I'm not a beggar." He's like, let me in. So they send one of the fighters out there to like, "Hey, you need to leave."
Yeah.
And he starts fighting him. So the boss comes out and is like, Ian comes out and he's like, "What's going on? Blah, blah, blah." He's like, "Let me in. Let me fight. I'll spar." So he meets this guy named Gowdy. Gowdy. Gaudi.
Yeah.
Gowdy?
That sounds fine. Yeah.
So Gowdy is like the
Doesn't
Ian's
help much.
main fighter.
Okay.
He's like the showcase for him.
Yeah.
Like, hey, at the school of the temple, there's this kid named Gowdy. He's a badass.
Yeah.
That's kind of the draw
He's
of
the
him.
headliner.
So he spars with him, and Maine is actually kind of like dominating him.
Oh, shit.
So Iam's like, oh, damn, okay, yeah, all right. So you show up, I think he says in 4 days, and we can get this going. So for the next 4 days, Maine is chilling with Fasat, who's like teaching him just all this horrible stuff. Like basic, not horrible, but, you know, instilling like kind of radicalism in him.
Oh, okay.
So Maine gets really intrigued by him, and he's like, he's the first one who took care of me. Like they kind of develop a relationship, so he wants to work with him. And something happens where Fesset ends up getting beaten up, and he becomes crippled.
Oh, damn.
So when they meet, he comes back to, Maine comes back to Fesset and is like, let me be your legs. And he's like, okay, so you'll work with me. So they start planning their Fesset's little master plan here, right?
Okay.
So he goes to the school. He ends up doing really well. They end up joining the team, but he's like real distant. He's having problems paying attention because at night he's going out with Fesset.
He's got to handle business.
So he's like being a lookout while Fesset is trying to steal some blueprints at one point, and Maine's kind of like, I don't know what's going on with him. And at one point, Iam catches sight of Fasat, Fasat, and he's like, is that? No way, that looks like him. And they kind of allude to like they know each other.
Okay.
So goes into like the very first fight. And they, you know, he's been training. He's been ditching a lot of stuff. A lot of the training shows up late. So he ends up fighting. They're kind of like not worried about him. They're like, just go do your thing. We'll see how it goes. And he's getting wrecked by this dude. And then he starts hopping around all crazy. And he kicks him in the head and wins.
Nice.
It becomes like they call him the cat.
Okay.
So he's like real full of himself now.
Yeah.
So now he's definitely skipping practices. He's talking big shit, and he's like, I got this. And all the while he's working with Fasat, right? Goes into that for a while. He meets a girl. He ends up really liking her. So he's living that party life a little bit because he's really famous.
Yeah.
The cat is, you know.
Okay.
But then some people are seeing him like run across rooftops at night. And they're like, dude, the cat was right up there. Why is he doing that?
Yeah.
So he's getting known. He's famous, semi-famous because of that match. Everyone's super psyched to see him fight again. And just it goes into a lot of relationship between him and Fasat, him and Iam the Scorpion, and some of his other teammates, right? So goes into the second match, and it kind of builds on Fasat's plan a little bit. Maine realizes he was trying to steal blueprints, and that he was helping him like almost like set bombs or find placement for bombs. So he's like, what's
the big
he's starting to figure
here?
out like he wants to help him. He's his legs. He owes him a favor. He took care of him for a minute and was like, he kind of looks up to him.
Yeah.
And he loves their talks, the way they talk about things. He's got a different way of looking at it. Iam and the Scorpion, the school, he's like, I showed up here wanting to fight, but you could tell like his heart's not all the way in it on that. And he's slowly becoming this radical revolutionary like Fasad over here. And Iam's like, I see how well you fight, man. If you would just show up to damn training. So he actually gets to the point where he's like, I'm not talking to him anymore. Like, he can do what he wants. Screw him.
Yeah.
So they go to their second match, and now Iam has asked Gowdy to be his partner. And they fight 2-2. So it's basically the initial rounds that they go through, the first two rounds that you see, the first two fights, is set up. You have 2-man teams, but they fight one at a time. So there's this other character named Sheed.
Something.
Sheed.
Yeah.
And he's partners with Maine. And now Gowdy is with Iam, who is the leader of the school, right? So they're fighting together. So Iam, or Maine, actually loses his second match. He thinks he's going to be a badass, and he goes out there and he just gets rocked. It's this dude called the Red Face. He looks cool. The art's crazy, man. Super crazy. How were the faces? They were great. I see some tinges of like Beavis and Butthead, like that crazy scraggly
that's
art.
Weird. I don't know how to describe that at all.
But then when you see the fight scenes, it's crisp and clear. They look great. You can tell what's going on.
It does look good.
You can tell the faces because they're all very distinct, and they have looks to them. They, Maine here is blonde haired with like dark circles under his eyes, so you can
Yeah.
always tell that's him.
Damn.
So yeah, it goes into Gowdy and Iam's match with the Stone Man, and a lot of these pages are the fights. This dude, Marwan, wanted to make a martial arts book, and I think I read something where he's like, I don't know anything about martial arts, so I had to make up my own world where I could be the authority of the martial arts there.
He didn't have to know a bunch about it.
Exactly.
Stuff.
So
Okay.
this is mixed with that.
Smart.
This is submission wrestling. This is knockouts, karate, martial arts, boxing. It's all in here.
Cool.
It's all mixed into this crazy fight. So like I said, it goes into a lot of details with these fights. Like you see him watch them. You see him come back, hold, submission, knockouts.
That's
It's
cool.
cool. And the way it reads is fun. Pretty quick and not a lot of dialogue during the fight scene. So
Yeah.
they
It moves on.
yeah, exactly. In your head, you can watch it basically.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
cool.
fun.
Hell yeah.
So he loses his second match. He's super pissed, and now even more so, not focused on the fighting, the
Gotcha.
martial arts. So
Yeah.
he's dealing with Facade again. Now Iam and Facade actually see each other, and he's, you used to be a brother to me. Like, fuck you. So definitely some bad blood in there.
Yeah, you start to figure out what's
Yeah.
going on. Okay.
Right. So, I mean, I'm just going to generalize it, man. I'm kind of to the end. There's a lot going on here, but I kind of don't want to go into all of it.
Yeah.
Like, it is a,
I
it
know
is
what
a
it's
good
like.
story.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of the personal, emotional stuff in between. The stuff with him and his girl, like, she can see him, you're not practicing. You're doing stuff with this other guy that no one really knows anything about. Your master Iam, the Scorpion, is like over you. He's like,
Yeah.
let him enjoy his freedom while it lasts. And so Iam and Gowdy had won that second match. So they actually qualified for the tournament of the decade, right?
Okay, yeah.
So they go to another part of Arop, and it's a huge stadium, giant. They said they messed with the planning committee, didn't know what it was going to be until a bunch of people told them to make it a Pankot stadium.
Yeah.
Like, we can fill it, there's concessions, we make lots of money. And they start introducing, not really introduced, but they keep showing these like 4 or 5 super fancy dudes smoking crazy pipes. You could tell these are like the leaders, right,
Okay.
of this fantasy world, like, or of the city. They're rich, the bourgeois, and
They do a lot of betting.
oh yeah, for sure. Like that's like all it is. Because that's
Yeah.
why they get nicknames and stuff. It's wrestling. It's Monday Night Raw that you can bet on
Yeah.
with UFC mixed in. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you find out that Fessett wants to blow up this new stadium.
Oh, okay.
So in the midst of this tournament of the decade that Maine and Iam and Gowdy and Sheed are all a part of with their team, the School of the Temple, they're fighting all these other schools, right?
Yeah.
Big old tournament. And it's huge, like thousands and thousands of people.
It's a stadium. It's full stadium. Or
It's a stadium
full of people. Right?
Yeah, it's the Pankot stadiums were small, circular. This thing is gigantic with just stands and seats
Okay,
everywhere. It's
cool.
actually really cool in the comic when you see it. And all this will be up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like all the fight scenes that I'm talking about will be
Yeah.
up there, like all that. So they get there, and now Maine is having to deal with Facade. He finds out you want to blow up this stadium, and he's like, I can do it, man. My qualifying match is the day before. And they're like, what? Like, how are you? So he's sending them on missions. He's going out late at night to do stuff with them. They're digging. They're getting into the area where they want to set the bombs and the charges.
They're setting up.
So Iam's like knowing what's going on because he keeps seeing Facade hanging around. He knows that he's leaving out to go see him, and he knows
Yeah.
that they're up to some shit.
Right.
So he basically, the day of the big fight, now the tournament becomes a big deal because they change the fighting styles, the way the rounds work.
Oh, okay.
So for this tournament, they have 2-man teams fighting simultaneously. So it's going to be Iam and Gowdy fighting 2 guys at the same time. So if one guy goes down, the match is pretty much
it's
over.
2-on-1 at that point.
They're like, we've
Yeah.
never done this. This is super violent and crazy. The crowds are all psyched. So Gowdy ends up losing, I think, the first round with Eam. I could be wrong. No, Maine ends up being the guy he picks. He ends up picking Maine as his teammate.
Yeah.
Something happened with Gowdy. He loses a round somewhere. Maybe the second round of that other bout they were in.
Okay.
I forgot. I skipped over it, but it's not really important. He's just not on the team anymore.
Yeah.
He messed up. So he's still not talking to Maine. Ian's still pissed, but he's giving him advice, so he's slowly kind of like warming back up to him because he's trying to teach him and stuff, blah, blah, blah. So the first round, he doesn't say anything. They go out there and just completely silent fighting. Maine has to like follow his lead. So they end up it's kind of dirty. They'll like knock one guy out, grab the other guy, and just like bullies, just beat the shit out of him real quick.
You ever seen those real fights where it's multiple people?
Yeah,
that's what happens. As soon as one person gets knocked down.
Name a better strategy.
No, there is.
Pick a better strategy.
That's it.
It was
that's
2 on 2. Like, obviously.
I've seen it sometimes where in the like a 3-person, the 3 guys will literally maul one guy. Like they'll take punches from the other 2 just to get that one guy out, and as soon as they get that guy out, they just turn around.
It should be like no double team. It's just simultaneous. You can switch partners, but you can't, 2 on 1.
Yeah, like a Marvel vs. Capcom. Like
yeah, exactly.
You get knocked out. Your next guy comes in and fights.
Or in order like that, right? So anyway, they end up winning the first round. He's still not speaking to him. He's pissed off. So the rounds are taking place over like days. Right. So he's still sneaking out at night.
Big ass tournament.
Yeah. So he ends up winning the second round. They do the same thing, and the third round starts. Now this is where it all culminates. Here is that he's still sneaking out. Iam goes to look for him the day of the tournament, and everyone's like, dude, Maine, where are you going? Like, he's like, oh, I'll be right back.
Important, man. Where are you going?
He's like, I'll be back. Don't worry. They're like, come on. So Iam, the Scorpion, the master, is like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to find him.
Oh, shit.
So big chase, not chase scene, but follow scene. And so when Maine makes it to Fasat's tunnel that he's digging to set the charges, the bombs.
Right.
He like tells him, he's like, listen, man, the joke's over. You helped me a few times, but it's done. Get out of our way. Mm-hmm. Like, you're just a kid. You're not some revolutionary. I'm doing this for me. This is my fight. Nothing to do with you. Like, it was fun. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And he goes and sits down, and he's like, why? Like, he looked at Fasad as like a father. Uh-huh. He was the first dude that gave a shit about him.
Yeah.
So he picked the wrong guy. Ian would have been a great father figure, and he would taught you how to kick ass.
Yeah.
And you'd be a disciplined badass by this point. So he picked the wrong guy, basically.
Yeah, basically.
But he tells him to fuck off. It's over. Like, get out, dude. This is not has anything to do with you. Mm-hmm. So as Maine's walking away, Iam sees him and lets him go. And Iam goes to talk to Fasad. Mm-hmm. So he's like, listen, if you do anything that harms my school again, like, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah.
He, like, picks him up. And he's like, I'll bathe in your blood, bro. Like, something like that. Throws him down in this nasty water, and he's like, don't ever do that shit again. He starts walking off. So before the third and final round, they're about to fight these giant dude. This one little guy and this super tall, which they all look fairly short, so I'm guessing he's like 6'3" or something. Right. Still a somewhat big dude.
A big guy, but not a giant.
Not a giant, right? But it's a big guy to them. So they're like, they haven't seen him yet. They're like, we've heard how big he is. Have you seen him? But they're like, no. How do we know he's that big is what they say. They're like, hey, might be. So Iam is now talking to Maine. And Maine kind of like made up with his girlfriend. And she's there to see him. She snuck in. She has costume on because they don't let women in because they don't care about them.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those worlds.
That's dumb.
But so she has to sneak in. And now Iam is now talking to Maine right before the round, and he's like giving him advice. So you can see he's kind of like, I still got you, man. So they go out there, they fight the big dude is just like kicking the shit out of them. Like they can't figure it out,
They can't crack the code.
They can't, yeah. So they do, obviously. They figure it out. Maine stops fucking around in his head, and he starts doing his cat shit again. Mm-hmm. And Iam's just a beast. He's like one of the most famous fighters in the world already. Yeah. So, blah, blah, blah. They win. Big guy's down. They beat the shit out of the little dude together. It's over.
Yeah.
And they're standing there victorious, man. They're like, we did it, man. We did it. Like, I got you, bro. And he's like, I got you, Dad. You know, it's one of those. He didn't say that, but it was one of those moments.
Yeah.
And then before they're about to announce that, you know, the School of the Temple has won the tournament, fucking half the stadium explodes. Just gaboosh.
Yeah.
Bodies everywhere, dude. Everyone's running. It's fucking chouse everywhere. So Iam ends up following Fasat through the chaos and chases him up on a roof. And Maine actually followed Iam as well. So they all end up together, and you find out that they were basically brothers. Iam's father, right? He was the Pankat master before Iam was. And Fasat and Iam were both in the school together, and they were super close. He was like, my father treated you like a son. He was like, no, all he loved was my fighting skills. Like, he didn't love me. He's like, I hate this world. He's like, fuck the rich. He's like, this shit sucks. You know how many people are struggling out there? Basically a pretty good representation of, you know, now and what it was written, when it was written, 2021. Like, it's obviously the same argument and the same problems people are having. So they end up not squashing it, but shit's going down, crumbling, exploding, stuff's on fire. So they're like, we got to get out of here. So they part ways. It's over. Big explosion. Fasat didn't get caught. They ended up catching all the other guys, though, like the guys that worked on it.
Yeah.
They caught a bunch of them.
Yeah, they couldn't let him get away.
No, but Fasat did. But all the guys that he worked with got caught, and they were down. They were like, for the cause.
Yeah.
And so they probably took it in stride, right?
Probably.
So Iam is now like, he's bummed because he's like, they didn't announce the winner. Shit exploded. So we didn't technically win yet.
Yeah.
So they take care of it. They won. Maine is like super popular now. He can basically go to any school that he wants to. So his girlfriend comes back and she's like, let's go to the school of the Southern Quarters. They're like way more open-minded about women there. Like, let's go there. And he's like, shit, I'm down. Let's go. So him and Ian part on like good terms. All the students, Sheed and Gowdy, they all part on good terms. And he's like, you know, kick some ass, do good, bye, everyone.
Yeah.
So one of the last shots is all these officers. You can see him running through it like a bazaar. And they're like, he's under the orange tent. And you just see Fasat sitting there next to his wife, just chilling.
Yeah.
And so it heavily implies he's about to get caught.
Yeah.
He is a badass. He might be able to get away, but he might not. So, and then, the last scene is just him and his girl just walking off, heading south, basically.
Nice.
So it's really cool. Now, if you find it, you're going to get a lot more than what I said.
Yeah.
Like, even if I spoiled it in your, you know.
So much more.
So much more. Dude, it was like a book, man. It was like 200-something pages.
So many pages, yeah.
And even with a lot of it fighting, there was still a shit ton of stuff happening.
Yeah, shit actually happens.
Dude, so much.
Not
I mean,
just fight. Yeah.
Yeah, dialogue. Some issues are sparse of dialogue.
Yeah.
And then other ones are super heavy.
Yeah.
Right? He builds a really cool world. Like, this martial arts style is super fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's like real crouched, like they're like balls, like little pill bugs. And then like, it's just like devastating. What's the Ong Bak? What does he do?
That's like Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Or like,
which is boxing as well, right?
Yeah.
With elbows and knees.
Yeah. What's the crazy one? Okay. Yeah.
It's a mix of like a lot of that. You can see the Muay Thai style of like just crazy leg work and stuff. So if you enjoy actual fighting and martial arts, there's a lot of it in this.
Yeah, the little bit I saw, he was doing a leg kick, and it was really obvious what he was doing, and it looked like it looked painful.
Yeah.
So just in one
they're good at showcasing and you know, bringing that up to like
expressing the action,
the pain. When he wins his first fight and he's like jumps and kicks a guy in the head, it looks crazy.
Yeah,
but you can actually, like I said, tell what's going on.
Yeah,
so
you could.
It's really well done.
Very
man.
clear art, that's for sure.
It's very cool. The main character was frustrating though, because it was like, dude, you got shit. It. You showed up in the town and got accepted the school of like your hero.
Yeah, that's all you need to
do. And you immediately start screwing up.
Yeah,
like immediately. Come on, man. But I guess it worked out. He's like famous and will get accepted by like, he's like a free agent basically.
Right.
And all these other schools are going to be like, yeah, we want him.
Yeah, and then that means he's going to be super badass when he learns the rest of the...
Yeah, when he actually trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like showed up the day before the fight, started lifting weights.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, dumbass,
you
can't do that.
That's not how that works.
You're not going to get stronger that way, you idiot. So he was frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
And Fasad was cool. I like his revolutionary, storyline. Like, and he only blew up like a small chunk of the stadium. I guess the explosives are expensive, and the time and effort it takes is probably extremely difficult. So the world is cool. Like, I would like to see more of this world, even if it's not main. People. This world was cool.
Yeah.
I dig a fantasy world.
Yeah,
man.
hell yeah.
And I dig some martial arts. So
it seemed well fleshed out.
It's very expansive story.
Like lived in.
And only like a few characters. You think I thought it was going to be like sprawling as far as like character wise, but no, there's 5 or 6, 7, less than 10 main characters, and all of the effort is put on them.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, so you know them, you know their story, you know what they're like. It's cool.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
so 7, 8 thumbs up, 7 thumbs up. All right, man. This is our segment, Matt versus Adam. Mortal Kombat. Yeah. This is where we we take a random character generator, and we both pick someone oh man,
We don't pick anything.
What's happening?
We hit the random generator.
What's that? We
get a character, and then we fight the characters we get randomly.
Yep, that's
Got
it.
your back, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's what this is. That's what we're doing. We see who would win in a fight. So we got Marvel, DC, cartoon, and video game characters.
Games. That's our 4 that we use.
And I'm gonna start saying it every time. If Sam ever get over here, we can do the anime again. Because we tried it once and it was bad.
That was embarrassing.
All right, so cartoon. Here we go. All right. I don't know if this is like the record one or what.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who do I got? It's still going.
Hopefully it stops.
This might be the record one. Ooh, I got Blossom. One of the Powerpuff Girls, bro.
Okay. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's a good one.
They're really strong.
So is it going?
Yeah, I got it.
You clicked it? Okay, It's going. Blossom. That's cool.
Oh.
Who'd you get?
That sucks for me. It's Ladybug.
What?
From Miraculous.
Oh, dude.
I'm looking it up. But compared to Blossom.
Dude, you got that shit. It'll give you the item you need to win, like every time. She's like, it's an umbrella, and then she opens an umbrella and it blows in the wind, and then it knocks someone off of something. Like it's always some shit like that. So yeah, she has, and she's not super strong, is she?
Who?
Is she
Blossom or
No, yeah, Miraculous.
the Ladybug?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Is she not?
No, she's not real powerful herself. No, like physically powerful.
Just like regular teenage French.
She seems like she's like would be like a Black Widow or something.
Okay.
So like a real human definitely couldn't do the stuff she does, but she's not portrayed as super strong. She's portrayed as super quick and nimble. She uses her was it a yo-yo that's her bug or whatever?
Yeah,
it's a yo-yo, right?
Well,
or is that the cat's one?
Yeah, that might be the cat guy.
But she uses her powers and turns things into weapons, basically, that are specially designed to fight you.
And she has like a special item power. There's like a thing she does where she gets an item that will. It's the perfect item that she needs to win the fight, whatever that is.
Yeah, I'm getting to it now.
All right, so what are your powers?
Yeah, genius levels, intellect, fashion design, sewing, graphic design, excellent at video games. Oh my god, that's just as her regular. Okay.
Yeah.
As Ladybug, Multibug, and Dragonbug, which apparently are like her other forms.
Yeah, she gets the other shit from the old man.
I was right. Supernatural athleticism, so she's all crazy jumping around.
Agile.
But she's not. Yeah. High fighting skills. Yo-yo proficiency. I was right.
Okay,
Her
it was
thing's
the
a
yo-yo.
yo-yo. De-evilization. So whenever the bad moths take over somebody and make them evil, she can turn them back
that's
good.
right.
Lucky Charm.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Miraculous Ladybug, meaning the actual bug that she uses or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Underwater breathing in her aqua form. Proficient ice skating in her ice form. Flight as Cosmo Bug. Space survival as Cosmo Bug.
Oh, that's cool.
And then as these other ones, oh my god, as different. So she also has Cataclysm, which is what the cat uses. The cat guy, that's his power.
Cat boy.
Night vision, staff wielding. Multitude, jump roping, mirage, flute playing. So it's just like tons of. Oh, as Pennybug, time travel.
Okay.
As Pegabug, portal creation. As Dragonbug, elemental transformation, water dragon, and hydrokinesis. Okay, so as all these her like final form type things are actually powerful.
All right, and when you set up the arena, this is just downtown Houston. 2 blocks of downtown Houston. We see each other, and it's fight on site. Yeah. No prep time, no nothing, just in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
All right, so are you ready to hear what Blossom got?
Yeah, let's hear.
Are you ready? All right. Flight, heat vision, genius, self-sustenance, H2H combat, acrobatics, aura, energy manipulation, super senses, sight and hearing, night vision, x-ray vision, piloting, tornado generation, cyclone spinning, fire manipulation, generation, aura, and mimicry in their respective colors, electric force field, mutagen empowerment, invulnerability against extreme temperatures. Oh my god, I'm like halfway done. Resistance to acid.
As soon as you said who you had, I knew it was over.
Time travel, danger sense, after image creation.
Yeah.
Enhance intuition, photographic memory, invisibility, duplication, transformation, size reduction, magic tricks, dream manipulation, body control. She can bulge her eyes out. That's what it says. Vocal replication, explosive saliva.
Oh my god.
Limited power bestowal, ice and fire breath. Art planning skills, master strategist, and ice and fire breath.
She needs to fight Popeye.
That would Popeye, bro. Absolute strength.
Yeah.
Absolute everything.
Yeah.
So, all right, Blossom is kicking ass.
I told you. Like, that's why you were like, oh, maybe. And I was like, nah.
In France, we do not need
Yeah,
all these superpowers.
She gets beat up and then she sits on the curb and smokes like 20 cigarettes in a row.
When everything
Merde.
fades to black and white.
Merde. So, like, we got 2 young ladies.
Yeah, we did.
Like an actual kid and then like a teen, little tween or something, I guess. So that's a cool matchup.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
What was Blossom's color? Blue?
She was the pink one.
Oh, she
pink
was
and
blue.
red. Yeah,
A red one.
yeah. Well, the pink red one, whatever it is. Yeah, it's like pink or red.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, because the
So
blue
blue,
one,
green,
blue
and
one is
red.
Buttercup, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the green one. The green one with the black hair.
Yeah, the green one had the black hair for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
I don't either.
I don't think I watched Powerpuff Girls too much.
I did when
It was
came
on,
out.
like I saw it, but
I saw it a little bit when it was actually being aired.
Yeah,
and then
same, yeah, that's
later
what I mean.
a lot on Cartoon Network. or
yeah, it
whatever.
became popular with like people our age going back and
Later.
just watching it,
Yeah.
or people maybe I guess a little younger than us.
Yeah, it just got popular again. Or not just got. It had gotten popular.
It's all
again.
cyclical, man. Everything comes back.
Of course.
Pretty soon they'll have chain wallets and Jinkos again, riding around on their Heelys and soaps, grinding rails on soaps.
My homie up at the
Chain wallets.
at Mr. Smokes rocks the Jinkos.
Mm.
And the chain wallet.
Told you.
He rocks the Jinkos and the chain wallet. Real Jinkos. too.
Trendsetter, retro trendsetter.
Retro trendsetter. I was like, are those like 30 years old or they still make Jinkos? And he goes, no, they're new ones. And I was like, damn, how much are those? And he had just the shorts, and I think that he said they were 200.
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
That's
I
ridiculous.
think he said 200. It might have been a little under 200.
Man.
But that was for the shorts. So I know the pants are at least 200 or more. or
Just
something.
buy some really fat pants and then get your grandma to sew
When I
them
was a-
your waist size.
when I was a
There's
kid-
Jinkos.
But the Jinkos were way more expensive than other pants. So I had like the Kohl's version, which were called pipes.
Oh yeah, I remember
I had
pipes.
pipes, and I rocked the shit out
Dude, I
of
got my
pipes.
pipes, my chain. I got my Jordache shoes.
Bro. Oh, I definitely had some skate shoes by that point.
What were the hats? What were Flex fit. We were rocking the flex fits.
Yeah, at that time I was rocking flex fit, and a lot of trucker hats were popular.
Yeah, there you go. Because it went from
I
visors.
had long hair.
Went from visors in the 90s to flex fits.
So when
flat brims, because that's when they started
Yeah.
popping up.
When I skated and had long hair, the hat was super useful.
Oh, yeah.
The trucker hat specifically because you didn't get as hot.
Right? Oh, man. The 90s and 2000s was a wild
It
time.
really was.
Really
Wow.
was. All right. So, what's the record? What was that? We're
shit.
continuing it, right?
Yeah. Was
So
that
that's
1411 or something?
I think
or
I might-
1412?
It might be 1412. No way. Am I? You find that.
It's getting there.
Yeah, dude.
It's getting there. I know it's getting there for
Lawson
sure.
coming through to wreck shop.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh no, my bad. It was 1411.
So now.
Now it's 1412.
Yeah, that's good.
You're getting there.
Oh yeah, coming back, baby. I said it.
Hell
It's
yeah.
gonna happen. 1412.
1412.
All right, so we are on Facebook, Instagram, X. New episodes release every Monday on every podcast platform, and YouTube as well. If you want to see the things we were talking
Yeah.
about, it's on there.
Our complete lack of ability to explain the art can be completely fixed by just watching the YouTube
Just
video.
watch the video. So any interaction with the pages, all of that stuff helps out so much. You know, do the internet stuff for us. It's the best way to support the show.
Yep.
Like, subscribes, reviews, all that nonsense.
Yeah, any of that.
Just do it. If you feel like it, it helps out a lot. So we'd appreciate it. If you have done it already, we appreciate that very much.
Yep.
And that is the season 2 opening episode, right?
Hell yeah. In the bag, baby.
Yeah, so we're going to be back to your regular scheduled programming. So that's the episode, man. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.